Welcome back to the Weekly News Roundup. This is the business and the Sillyville edition. These are recorded live Fridays, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you would like to catch the show live. Well, first up, the Raspberry Pi is going to increase in price for the first time due to the chip shortage. This headline is actually a little bit sensationalized. So what's happened is in February of 2020, I believe, Raspberry Pi announced it would discontinue the 1 gigabyte Pi, but the 2 gigabyte variant would drop from $45 to $35. However, due to the global supply chain issues and the semiconductor issues, the Raspberry Pi 2 gigabyte will return to the original $45 point, but also buried further down in the article, they actually do say that they're going to bring back the 1 gigabyte variant at $35. So really nothing is changing here except we're going back to pre-February 2020. So maybe Raspberry Pi is just trying to go back in time to before the COOF, and I can all get behind that. Let's just go ahead and do that. So basically nothing is changing except that 2 gigabyte Raspberry Pi 4. They're increasing that back up to 45 and reintroducing the 1 gigabyte at 35. I thought there might be one more that they're discontinuing temporarily. And they did say that once they are back to full production, they're going to drop that 1 gigabyte again and drop the 2 gigabyte down to the 35 price point. So not a huge deal. Not something to be too concerned about if you're into the Raspberry Pis, but that is what's going on there. And now Apple, we have a few articles for Apple, although most of them are in Sillyville because Apple is silly. So Apple is releasing the new computers, and if I remember correctly, the starting point for price is $2,000. The starting point for price is $2,000, and following Apple's tradition, they're still shipping with old hardware. So the MacBook Pro has an HDMI 2.0, not a 2.1 port. Gotta scrape some money in there somehow, save ourselves a little bit of cash here, because I don't know if we can survive with these, 30,000% markups as little children are throwing themselves off the roofs of our manufacturing facilities. So what does this mean? Well, it means that the computer will not be future-proofed against later monitors. So right now the HDMI 2.0 standard is going to be able to support a 4K monitor at 60 hertz. But if you have a 4K at 120 hertz or an 8K at 60 hertz, the laptop will not be able to support those monitor resolutions. So these are things to keep in mind. And this is, of course, after them saying, we've listened to the pros. I saw one headline. It's literally, Apple, listen to the pros. Did they really? This is the company that released a Pro MacBook that had one port. That's not a Pro device. And then, literally the week after that, I saw an Apple fanboy come into a meeting we had. Literally, he had a bag with a computer and a bag with a pile of dongles. My non-Pro laptop has more ports than that thing. Really. Well, Facebook wants to rebrand the company with a new name. What they wanted to do is create themselves more of a metaverse. And, of course, Facebook is their biggest line, of course, so it's on the decline. But they have Facebook, they have Instagram, they have Oculus, they have WhatsApp. So there's all these different things. And rather than being Facebook with all of these other applications, and I still encounter people who are like, I won't use Facebook. That's horrible. What's your WhatsApp? Moron, WhatsApp is Facebook. Oh, really? Yeah, yeah. Not pay attention to stuff? You need to follow me on the Weekly News Roundup. And so they want to basically move Facebook back in line with Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus, blah, 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 blah. Name your privacy invading crap here. And in doing that, have one larger company name to encompass those. I think we should just maybe throw out some ideas for them. Maybe Data Place. That sounds good, right? Data Place. It's a place to harvest all of your data. Maybe Spy Central. I don't know. That's too obvious, though. I don't know. But anyway, they are talking about the rebranding and blah, blah, blah. And I don't think we have any information about what that is. Well, Google is having its revenue share of in-app subscriptions. So if you are an app developer creating a subscription type service, they're dropping their revenue share. Now, a couple years ago, or was it last year, I forget, but they took, it used to be that Google would take 30% of everything. And then what they cut that to is it took 30% in the first year, and then if the person maintained the subscription after the first year, then all future subscriptions would be 15%. So basically now Google gets a little bit more on the first year, and then if you keep the customer happy and they keep paying, Google will take a smaller cut. Well, now they're dropping it down to only 15% for the full year. So this is targeting apps that specifically have subscription services. So I would probably expect to see more apps moving towards a subscription-based model, and probably apps that you're already using that have the option of a subscription-based model to start pushing this on you because they're going to make more money in doing so. So there's a thought. All right, in our feature story, this one actually had a lot more publicity this week than I thought it might. But Canon is sued for $5 million because the scanner disables when the printer runs out of ink. I mean, I know, like, I want the old classic. You guys that are my age-ish or older, young, not too much younger than me, you will remember the times you get your inkjet, you start printing, and it keeps printing even though the ink is out. And then you see all the lines and stuff, and it looks horrible, but it's still somewhat functional. And then printers are like, oh yeah, guys, I mean, as soon as there is a possibility of seeing a line, we're going to completely disable that thing and make the printer completely useless until somebody dumps a bunch of cash. And by the way, if you can get around all those things, you could probably get a lot more prints. For example, my brother printer, which is a laser printer, if you disable the thing, and you can easily disable the thing in the software, disable the thing to check if the toner's low. When that thing tells you the toner's low, and if I don't toggle that off, it will stop printing because toner's low. When you disable that, or the old school method, you would put a piece of tape over the laser toner check, I can get 500 more prints out of that. That is scandalous. Where are all of the Greta Thunbergs of the world going, against these companies that are causing this much waste? But now Canon takes this a step further. Your printer has run out of ink. Sorry, you can't scan anything. Excuse me? The scanner won't work because what is it doing? Is it printing to the cloud? I mean, what is going on? Best known for manufacturing Canon camera equipment and printers for business and home uses, being sued for not allowing customers to use the scan or fax functions in multi-function devices if the ink runs out on numerous printer models. Dave Leecrest filed a class action lawsuit against Canon USA, alleging the company engaged in deceptive market practices. Now, in the suit, he actually is saying, yeah, there is no indication anywhere in this, and people are saying it's an all-in-one machine, but there's nothing in there that states that literally all functions will stop if the thing runs out of ink. It's just like, it just becomes garbage. So this is a Pixma MG2522 printer. It would not function as a scanner when ink cartridges were either low or empty. Moreover, faxing capabilities would not work when certain printers ran out of ink as well. Ink is not required to perform scanning or faxing documents, so the complaint stresses that these features should function regardless of ink levels. As such, the lawsuit, which involves more than 100 class action members, seeks at least $5 million in awards. One of the alleged violations in the complaint includes unjust enrichment. The lawsuit states Canon has disabled these functions to increase profits by selling replacement ink cartridges. So, very interesting. It'll be neat to see where this guy comes from, where this guy goes, but there it happens to be. Well, if you'd like to help support the channel, we do have affiliates. Today I'm featuring Linode, tlm.li/Linode. You can use this variety of cloud-based applications, web hosting, variety of other things. I use it for VPN, my Nextcloud accounts, and things like that. Using my link there, tlm.li/Linode will get you $100 in credits, which is good for 60 days, and then you can spin up as many Linodes as you want in that time period. Use all those credits if you want, and then just keep what you want when the billing cycle begins. So have a look at that, tlm.li/Linode. Let's go to Sillyville. So first up in Sillyville, Apple announces a new 14-inch MacBook Pro with a notch. A notch on your computer. What in the world is going on? The notches were bad enough on the stupid phone. There is no reason to put a notch on a computer. No reason at all. None. Look at this thing. If you have to have your screen monitor going all the way to the edges and you can't hold back this much for a bezel to hide a camera and other stuff up there, you need mental help. You don't need a computer with a notch in the screen. I actually made a joke about this a long time ago. I actually still have on the computer the overlays on OBS if I want to put a notch on your screen. And now Apple thinks it's a good idea. It's brave. It's amazing. It's a notch on a computer. What are they doing? Why? I just don't get it. Who in the world needs the screen to go all the way within 3 millimeters of the edge? Holy. But don't worry. You do need a way to keep that notch clean, right? How about $20 for a cloth to clean your computer? Polishing cloth will take the smudges off your Apple devices for $19. This is like the $400 wheels for the Pro that didn't have locks. Remember that? $400 wheels for the MacBook, Apple's Mac Pro desktop that didn't have a locking mechanism. Literally, you can put your $2,000 to $5,000 computer on wheels and watch it roll away because you can't lock it. And now, $19 for a polishing cloth. I mean, I'm not sure I have any down here, but I got lots of stuff. That's actually a polishing bag. I'm not sure I have many theaters. I threw away like 30 of these things. I should have just rebranded them as Apple cloths and sold them for like 15. I mean, amazing. So basically, it's a polishing cloth. It's $19, and it ships in 3 to 4 weeks with free shipping. Well, I certainly hope the shipping is free if I'm paying $20 for a cloth. What is this? The Shroud of Turin? Is this the face cloth that washed Jesus' glasses? My Lord! What are these guys doing? Well, right up there with back when I was in college, and they're like, we got was it a Mars Land Rover, or was it was either going to Mars or the moon. We made this big deal after such and such a long time. The thing has landed. Let's watch it land. And it crashed and burned because some dumb engineer didn't convert from the English units to the metric units. Yeah, that messes up your calculations. It basically was calculating the wrong angle and burnt itself into a crisp going on into the atmosphere. Not quite on that level, but Lucy is one of these new NASA projects, and they launched it out and they opened this thing up, and the solar panels are not latched on. How exciting. Whoops. Now, I had to comment on this here. My whole van is covered. The footprint of my van has about a 1.5 meter solar panel footprint. This thing has a 51-meter solar panel print. And by the way, running in space, they will run close to 90% efficiency. Okay, well, probably 99% efficiency. What in the world is on this thing that requires that much solar power? Particularly since it's floating in space with a single point orientation to the sun. It's not like it's got to charge up batteries to use it at night. But anyway, they opened the thing up and they found that the latches don't work. They're like, okay, well, it'll work, but okay, we're not quite sure what's going to happen when this thing has to fold down or we have to do any maintenance type stuff. So there we have another engineer failed to convert English to metric units because science is a thing. Well, Xbox always does fun stuff. And today, what they're doing for their fun stuff is a mini fridge. Unfortunately, I did hear that the trolls got a hold of this and jacked the price up to like $300 by pre-ordering everything out. But Xbox is doing some fun stuff. I mean, we got like, isn't Xbox also one that has like the KFC oven, you know? Got the KFC, they got the Xbox controller. And don't forget, if you are near I'm not sure if you still can or not, but if you are or were near a Krispy Kreme donut, you could actually get an Xbox branded donut. I mean, who does not want an Xbox branded donut? But this is an Xbox branded mini fridge. I guess you can put it right next to your gaming rig. I don't know. That's kind of cool, though, really. If it would run on DC, I might get one for the van. That sounds pretty cool, but I have a sneaky suspicion it's AC circuit. That sucks. Oh, well. Microsoft's Xbox Series X refrigerator will be available to pre-order starting next week ahead of global in-store availability. Assuming there are no shortages, that's a bad assumption right now, it's safe to say it'll be easier to find a mini fridge resembling an Xbox Series X than an actual console this holiday season. Well, Johnny, I couldn't find the Xbox, but I got you this cool refrigerator instead. Thanks, Grandma. At least I can put my sodas in it. So here it is. I'm guessing like there's audio. I muted it. What's this build up? I feel like I'm in Lord of the Rings. Oh, never mind. What am I in? I'm confuzzlicated. Oh, there it is. Wait. Where's the start? Here's the start. After all of that build up with the video game stuff, we get a refrigerator. It's amazing. It's the world's most powerful mini fridge in the world. I don't know. Do you have the data to back that up? Is this thing really that powerful? Xbox Velocity cooling architecture. Yes, this really happened. It's the mini fridge by Xbox. Yeah, that's interesting. Pricing is set at like $100, but some people jacked up the what is it? Scalpers cause the Xbox Series X mini fridge to sell out in minutes. Pricing now reaches $300. Whoops. All right, well, guys, we know that the migration crisis is a bad thing. So I'm reading between the lines on the article. I think this is some documentary of some form. But people felt threatened even by a puppet refugee. Well, yeah, if that thing lands illegally on my coast, I might try and shoot it too. I mean, really? What is this thing? Now, are these children or like grown adults? But basically, it is a, what is it? Little Amal's epic walk through love and fear. Of course, it's basically propaganda to be like, the whole world needs to be globalist and open borders. Because, you know, the whole world can perfectly sustain everybody going everywhere you want, you know, which is kind of funny. I don't see anyone fighting their way into Venezuela right now. But they're trying to turn the United States into Venezuela, so be careful of that. But from being pelted with stones in Greece to receiving a papal welcome in Rome, the giant girl's migrant trek from Syria to Manchester provoked powerful responses. In Greece, far-right protesters, you know, people who would like to maintain a semblance of sanity in their culture, FYI, people on the right are not against immigration. They just would like you to follow the law and do it legally. And probably not coming in a giant puppet costume too. I mean, this will even terrify the whips on the backs of the horses. I mean, come on. So she walked through the streets. Local councilors voted to ban her from visiting a village of Orthodox monasteries, and protest in Athens meant her route had to be diverted. In France, the mayor of Calais raised objections to her presence. At times, at the 8,000-kilometer journey across Europe of a 3.5 millimeter tall puppet child refugee highlighted the hostility experienced by refugees who've been traveling along the same route from Syria border to UK for years. I just That's terrifying. Yes, I completely understand the protests. So here is from Syria, Turkey, Greece, Italy, all the way up through there. You know, I know Switzerland's like, get the thing out of here. It's going around Switzerland. But look at this thing. It's terrifying. But it's just political propaganda. They're saying it's a child. It's got a goatee. Does it have a goatee? Maybe it doesn't. This one looks like it has a goatee. But it's like it's one of these things. It's just like you're trying to do some weird point. You're trying to make some weird publicity. You're trying to do something. It's kind of Fu Manchu. But anyway, it's just like, this is what's wrong with, I don't even know. It's just weird. It's Sillyville. What do we want? How do you finish that? I don't even know. We're going to leave it here. Let me know your thoughts on all this. I have no more. My brain went, it's gone. It's done. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.